It's 2021 and I'm here at CES in Las Vegas. CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, where manufacturers and companies show off their latest tech and gadgets. This year, it's a rather different CES, and in fact, this is the first one I've actually been able to attend, which is a bit sad really, because rather than experiencing the hustle and bustle of the expo floor, I'll be at home, because it's happening 100% digitally this year. So I'm here in my home studio, simply relaying the information that is behind the curtain to the general public from this screen to that screen to your screen for you to listen to some of the information that has happened on day one of CES. So this is just going to be a very quick bite-sized recap of everything that I think is interesting that has been announced today in the 12 hours of keynotes that I've literally just poured through and watched. And hopefully you'll find some of it interesting too. But like I said, this is going to be a very quick recap of day one of CES, where most of the interesting stuff happens for keynote addresses. The next couple of days, there aren't that many interesting keynotes. Instead, it's just lots of talking. Instead, I'll be able to take a look at some of the exhibitors' gadgets directly, although again, not playing with them with my hands. But I will try and formulate a few more CES videos over the next few days as well for you, even though they won't be necessarily a recap of the day. But there's a lot to talk about, so let's dive straight in. The event kicked off with the keynote from Hisense, and they spoke about their Laser TV setup for 2021, and lots of it looks really promising. You know that I love laser technology. I did a review of a laser projector about a year ago. It was like a mini one, the Laserbeam Pro KDL, something, I can't remember. Anyway, it was a fantastic product. I still use it. It's in the other room over there. But laser tech has always been something I've been interested in, but as with all kind of projection stuff, quite a lot of the time you can't use it in the day. However, the stuff they announced with using their trichroma, kind of punchy colours, more vibrant setup, is actually brighter than a standard traditional television. It's 430 nits. I mean, that's brighter than things like the Amazfit GTS, which is knocking around somewhere on one of these desks. That's insane. That's so bright. That's usable in the day. Now, obviously, I can't see this with my own eyes, and I can't tell you whether or not that's true. But what I can say is that if it's anywhere near to what they're saying, then this is really exciting for the future of laser projectors, because I've always loved that technology. I can't wait. So well done to Hisense for that. LG then followed suit, having a keynote on their own vision tech. A lot of it was about higher refresh rates, higher contrast, better colours, as you'd expect. But they released two new things: their QLED panel range, which is basically mini LEDs in a full backlit array setup, which looks pretty cool, but also their OLED Evo, I think they've called it, OLED Evo setup, which is basically just an OLED panel, but it's punchier, it's brighter, it's higher contrast, it's even better than the previous gen stuff. So that's interesting to see. More of a evolution rather than any form of innovation here. But alongside this stuff, they did announce a few unusual things. The first one, they were speaking about their wash tower, which is basically a gigantic monolithic washing machine that can wash all of your dirty pants quicker than you can make a cup of tea. It looked insane, but at the same time does save a lot of space. I mean, I know a lot of people with a washer and a dryer separate in their kitchen or storage area or whatever. This creates it into a single tower that's there for home use, and it uses AI as well to basically ascertain what's inside the washing machine. I mean, all men have this problem where they look at washing machines and they have no idea what any of the settings do. All I see is daily quick and put it on that because I don't want to shrink my clothes. I mean, I'm 6'8" and they don't fit me already, so I really don't want them to shrink. But this supposedly uses AI to help you kind of ascertain what cycle you should put it on. That's cool, I like that. But they also announced an even weirder gadget called the Clo Eye. This is basically a sanitizing robot that you can set off into rooms, and it can use UVC lighting then to blast radiation around the room, obviously Not safe to look at, but safe to be around. But it can blast the room and kill off things like coronavirus and make it safe for people to then enter. And now I love this sort of thing. It's not necessary, shouldn't be necessary, because, I mean, you think about it, it's a bit odd, but then at the same time, we live in a very strange environment at the moment, and this type of tech is a direct response to 2020. So welcome to 2021, Chloe. Very strange. Now, Samsung also released a bunch of their own robotic stuff as well. The first thing they showed off was something called the JetBot AI 90 Plus. Who is coming up with these names? They're getting worse. Naming of products is just becoming insane. Anyway, aside from that, this looks like a more realistic version or concept of what they showed off a few years ago, the Samsung Borley, if you remember that weird little AI robot type thing. This seems like a sort of downgrade from that, I guess, but it's along the same sort of line, except it can clean your house. But it's also got a camera on it, so you can see your pets, and also it's supposed to look after your pets as well while you're not here, automatically changing the temperature, playing the television, feeding the dogs and putting on music, depending on the environment, and obviously you'd need a smart home to do it. But the fact that it can take care of your pets to a certain extent whilst you're out is pretty good. But it also features a bunch of AI tech as well in there, so that it knows whether or not it can get close to certain objects. So for example, if it's going near pet toys, it will just clean around it or even knock it out of the way. But if it's going towards a priceless vase stood in the corner, it knows this, and it will think, right, I'm not going to go anywhere near that. And it can do it without setting boundaries as well. It just uses artificial intelligence, which I think is a real step forward for cleaning robots. And then came the concept robot overlords. I mean, this was sort of scary stuff. The first one they showed was called the HandyBot, or Bot Handy. It was a bizarre name or something like that. They showed this doing a bunch of different things. First of all, taking a glass of water off the presenter, which was a bit strange, but then they also showed it doing things like stacking the dishwasher and pouring a glass of wine. I mean, where can I get one? I want one, like, now. Especially if I can program it to pour me a dram of whisky. I mean, that'd be ace. But that sort of thing is crazy. They also showed a retail robot, basically designed to take the place of tens of millions of jobs, and put tens of millions of pounds in the back pockets of those already rich. Not an idea that I can necessarily get behind. Stacking the dishwasher, you've got me. I'll get my checkbook. But taking people's retail jobs in a world already ravaged by horrible things, not the best of idea at the moment. There were a few other announcements from Samsung as well, mind. You had bespoke fridges coming to the US. I mean, I think this has been a thing over in Korea for a little while, but this is now coming to America. It means you can basically customize your fridge to no end. That's pretty cool. And obviously this is CES, so they announced some TVs. But to be honest, they were actually quite beautiful, and Samsung's micro LED panels are described as monolithic, which I would agree, they look really impressive, albeit no one ever has a home exactly like the promo images seen in this kind of thing, or maybe you do, I don't know, but either way, they look quite impressive. Again, they look quite impressive from me looking at it at a screen in a screen, and now you're watching a screen, so you're seeing like screenception. Panasonic later in the day then piped up with, funnily enough, some of their own displays. The main one they discussed was the JZ2000, which is designed with upward-spiring speakers, quite interesting, but also HDMI 2.1, so is ideal for variable refresh rate in the new consoles. More interestingly, they spoke about their heads-up displays for drivers and using augmented reality, and the platform and products they seem to be making in this aspect seem pretty cool, although they didn't really demo it that much during the keynote. But it is exciting to see that Panasonic have got this in their kind of targets and are going forward with building in AR into driving experiences, and I'm really excited for the future of this kind of thing. They spoke about stuff being available already, but often in quite small displays that aren't really that useful for drivers. This seemed like a much bigger implementation of it, and I am genuinely excited because we all know that augmented reality is the next big moon for tech. Basically, someone's going to take a step on it and it's just going to go crazy. I mean, we've already seen companies try and capitalize on AR. Companies like Google Glass, and even Google Glass really would be the main one, but unfortunately I think that came far too early. But 2021, is this the year for AR? Could be. Let's wait and see. Next up, we had another company talking about their displays, and this time it was Skyworth. Now, that's not necessarily a household name at the moment, but from their keynote it looked to me like they were really trying to sort of push and get into the Western market, especially in things like America. And it's exciting to see because actually they have quite a good lineup of displays. One of their main ones, the XC9300, is wafer thin, and it looks like a really high quality OLED panel that can support, again, HDMI 2.1 and variable refresh rates for the new consoles, so you can play games at 120 Hz. But they also showed off a panel with a 98.6 panel to bezel ratio. That's basically a non-existent bezel. That's cool. That's cool. So, I'm excited to see where these guys go. And actually, as far as I'm aware, Skyworth is relatively budget friendly as well. The only real thing left of interest to me today is the Sony conference, which is later on at 10 o'clock tonight. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to see that because my mum doesn't let me up past 9 p.m. But no, in all seriousness, that's going to be a little bit late for me to film and get this video up in time for you guys to still be awake. So that will have to wait until tomorrow. There are a few things I have chosen to leave out today as well, but that's because they're not that relevant for the UK market, such as the announcements from TCL where they're bringing out a few new phones and a few new tablets, and that's because TCL just don't have a large presence in the UK. And in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of you right now in the UK are thinking, who the hell is TCL? I mean, it would be great if they did come here because they do have some very good devices at a very good price, but to be honest, they're more for the American market, so I've chosen to leave that out for you guys because it's just not that relevant. But that ends today, and as always, there's been a lot of televisions and display technologies announced, which seems to be the sort of running theme with CES these days. Now, over the next few days, there aren't that many interesting keynotes to cover, so what I'll be doing instead is I'll be going through all of the exhibitors that I can find on the actual website itself, picking together some of the most interesting and weirdest pieces of tech, and I'll be bringing you a few pieces of content over the next couple of days. So if you have enjoyed today's recap, don't forget to hit that notification bell and that subscribe button. And you'll be notified then when these videos do land. But other than that, guys, I think this is the second video that you've had from me today, so I'm going to get some rest. But I'll see you back real soon for some more CES content. Thanks for joining.